that it's
We
kind
got the
of...
tacos on the corner. And
mariscos everywhere.
So I'm going to start because this is all good. This is all good conversation for the
I know.
podcast.
Yeah, Go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Film Hustlers. Here we are once again talking about film, and Tootie was just talking about what we're about. We're about, inspiring and talking about making movies and talking about you making your movies and
we made our movie,
making content, and then this season we made our movie, right?
Yeah.
Which is Beautiful Darkness.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about where we're at is that Rich Alarcon is editing Beautiful Darkness right now.
We got our first fat cut last night,
and it looks amazing. Why don't you guys put anything on the Instagram?
I did put something on the Instagram.
Dude, but we should have like pictures, like the pictures that he sent in of the footage and all that stuff. It looks amazing.
I did last week.
Yeah, but of the ones that we got today from Galvan, that looks amazing.
Yeah. No, those look cool.
Like people will trip, right? That's amazing. So anyway,
they're shot on film.
Do we want to give those away though?
Do we want to?
I don't think so, bro.
Give them something. Like you said, you guys aren't putting anything up, so it's kind of
This is you too.
I know. Well, I put up everything. You do the art. It's cool. But no, we're excited. We should. I'd like to invite everybody who listens to the podcast to see the movie.
That'd be great.
Maybe we should rent the Harmony Gold, 1,300 seats.
Dude, we're shooting on film. We owe money still.
Oh, that's right.
We're in debt.
That's right.
Let's get one more take. Remember those words?
Yeah.
Let's get one more take.
That's true. Here's the crazy thing. So if you're wondering what it costs, we raised $45,000 on the show, and we ended up spending $58,000.
Damn, and we're
so
not
where
done.
does the rest come from? I don't know. Every month from our sponsor, we're going to have to take a little bit. So I do want to thank and honor our sponsor, extrememusic.com, Russ Emanuel, for always supporting us and supporting independent film and supporting all filmmakers with their incredible music at extrememusic.com. They're the best in the business. We're going to be using some of their stuff for this movie.
Is Russ going to do the composing? Him and Hans?
Well, I want to send him the movie.
Damn,
he said Hans Zimmer might take a look at it, so it could
that would be
a thing.
amazing.
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer might score our movie.
I don't want to commit anybody, but anyway, I'm excited that you guys all have taken this journey with us with raising money and doing the script and finding out what kind of movie we're going to make, and it's been an exciting fourth season. So thank you guys all for listening. But I do want to say we have a guest here for the first time in a while.
Yeah,
and we're going to shake him down for some cash before he gets out of here.
I've stopped asking. I'm scared to ask anymore. But we have Erick Galindo here. I'm just going to read this because it's pretty impressive. He's a 5-time Telly Award-winning writer, director, showrunner, originally from Southeast Los Angeles, which we were talking about. Southeast Los Angeles. Where's that?
Well, it starts at around Huntington Park, and it goes probably all the way down to like Bellflower.
That's crazy. I'm from East LA. I was born in East LA, just like the movie, but I never went out there. No, never went out there. That's.
You stayed in your house and played piano.
That's it. I stayed in my house. I played Barry Manilow.
Piano.
Oh shit!
And little Barry Manilow.
Taught himself.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what's funny? All the gang members used to come by and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" So I'm playing the piano. Like, can you listen?
Like
and they'd come in and they'd all just stand around being like, "Chingon."
Hey, can you play?
Hey, do you know? I write the songs. Yeah. All right, play it. And then they'd all be singing. I write the songs.
That's a movie in itself.
Yeah, dude, that shit was funny. But Galindo is way more than that. He's the co-creator, writer, and executive producer of The Mexican Beverly Hills. Guess where I live?
The Mexican Beverly Hills.
Do you live in Downey?
He is the Mexican in Beverly Hills.
I live in Beverly Hills.
You live in real Beverly Hills.
In real Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is Downey?
Yeah, Downey's the Mexican
Downey's the Mexican Beverly Hills.
Wasn't it the original Beverly Hills? Downey? No.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about the history of Downey beyond like when we moved there. My parents moved there. We used to live in Paramount.
And then I moved to Downey also.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Damn, you guys homies?
I lived off of Orange Street right there by Warren.
By Warren? Okay. Yeah, we lived on Imperial for a long time.
But this is a sitcom currently in development of CBS.
Yeah. We'll find out. We'll find out very soon.
Is it based on your life?
It is actually. It's based on my life story. I grew up mostly like in the Compton, Paramount area, and my parents were undocumented. And in 1986, they got amnesty through the Ronald Reagan's amnesty program. My parents got it, and when they did, they finally bought a house, and we moved to Downey, and it was kind of a culture shock to be like the very poor to having like all these rich people around us.
Yeah, well-to-do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that story is kind of the story that we're developing with CBS.
That's exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Like, well, congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
that's a big deal. You're also doing Christmas movies, A Christmas to Remember, which you recently have optioned.
Yeah.
You're also the creator, head writer, executive producer of a host of multiple podcasts.
Chalino Sanchez.
The Ballad of Chalino Sanchez is
Really
what
good,
everyone's
dude.
talking about.
Yeah.
I was listening to a little bit of it today. It feels like a full-on production. Like, well, first of all, you have like a bunch of sponsors. We don't have that many, but you have like footsteps and like Foley and music, and I mean, it's pretty
It's a whole
cool.
sound design. It's
How long
great.
does it take you to do an episode? Like, we do an episode in about 30 minutes, and then it's
Oh
on
no,
the air.
that took us like a year to do. We did all 8 episodes together, and it took us over a year. And we did not have any sponsors when we put it out.
Yeah.
But it gained a really strong following like right away, and then we were able to get sponsors afterwards. We tried really hard,
Yeah.
especially the studios who were financing it, and it thankfully like they didn't wait. They were
Yeah.
like, we'll just put it out. But
That's super cool because but if you want to hear a really great story about narco corridos, which is a fascinating culture of
Yeah.
music and drug lords and all that stuff, this would be one to listen to. The Ballad of Chalino Sanchez, which is on a podcast. It's 9 episodes, produced by Erick Galindo, and it's amazing. If you want to
Yeah.
hear something really well produced and a great story, unique and different than anything you've ever heard, you got to listen to this.
Because it is about narco carillos, but it's really not. It's
Well,
about
first of all,
this.
it's called narco corridos,
That's
but
true.
that's cool.
But get Chalino Sanchez right first, and then you can correct
I
me.
know, I'm-
Okay.
Hey, these are all hard words, especially
Yes.
especially when you get stuck in the middle between English and Spanish. It's fucking hard.
It is, but the story is more than just that about narcos. It's really about this guy's like his journey, which is amazing, and how he got into that world. It was almost like a fluke, right, Galindo?
Yeah, it seems like he was a guy who did it. He I think like a lot of us, you get born in a place like East LA, right, or Paramount or something, and like your environment can easily give you a destiny, right? It can easily change your entire life just because of the environment you're born in. And you can try to push out and do other shit, but sometimes the environment will always get you. And I think that's kind of the story of this guy who was born in the Golden Triangle in Mexico and Sinaloa. And for people that don't know, the Golden Triangle is where they import the most drugs. And they bring them from like Colombia and Bolivia and Peru and China, and then they come to the U.S. and that's the triangle, right? And the money goes back down to Colombia, right? Well, to be born in that environment and as a kid and try to get out constantly and be sucked back in to the crime is kind of his like story where he tries to overcome his destiny. And unfortunately for him, he was murdered like in a very public way because he was also at the same time trying to be famous.
Right.
And that's a very like it's a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna be doing underworld shit, you don't want anybody to know about it.
Right, instead of trying to be famous. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It as I was listening to it, it reminded me. Did you ever see the movie Miss Bala?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminded, because that story is super simple, but dangerous, and also like this really weird underworld. And I don't know, I found that movie very, very fascinating, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of that, where it seems glamorous, but at the same time, it could just be like nothing.
I traveled with bandas, like the kind of bands that Chalino was trying to be, like bands who at their peak were probably as big as like Los Tigres del Norte, and that shit is not glamorous.
No, it's because of where they're playing and who they're playing for, right?
It's scary sometimes, for sure.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And there's lots of drugs involved in that.
That's like all underworld shit. Like I had a buddy who ran with, the Gambinos, and he ran with all those guys, Henry Hill and Tommy DeSimone, who Joe Pesci portrayed, Tommy DeVito. And dude, it wasn't, what Scorsese did with that story was make it Hollywood. He romanticized it. Paul Vario, who was Paul Sorvino in the movie, was, he was banging Henry Hill's wife. He was breaking all the rules. They were hoods. They were gangsters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but in the movie Goodfellas, it's about honor. It's about all this stuff that and to be honest with you, The Godfather really created the American Mafia. Like that story, what Coppola did was show a way an organization could be ran, and those guys took it and ran with it and tried to recreate that. So it was really, because before that it was just thugs. It was just about money. The mafia is just about money. Any organized crime is about money. It's not about loyalty, family, all that shit. It's about making money.
Yeah,
That's it.
They ran it like Disney, but it was hookers and cocaine.
There's ways to make money. Hookers make money. Cocaine makes money.
Is that not how Disney runs things?
Yeah, that's how Disney runs things, right? Everyone's in a suit, everyone looks good, but they're really just taking money from babies. That's how that works. But yeah, I think there's there's something really interesting about the world that you created.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, as a world, I think I know Mario Lopez loves what you're doing and the story, and I know he wants to do something with it. So that's interesting to me.
So what's funny is Lopez, I've been telling, because I listen to podcasts because I live in Ventura.
You drive a lot.
So I drive a lot. So in order to deal with LA traffic, I have to listen to a podcast. Otherwise, I'll go crazy.
I respect that.
Yeah. So Lopez,
you are our target audience for sure.
But your podcast, most podcasts I get home, I go, all right, I pause it. I would sit in the driveway and finish Chalino. And my kids would come out and be like, what are you doing? I'm like, shh, go inside. My wife's like, you talking to somebody? Don't worry about it. And then I have it on Bluetooth, so it's blasting. So then I listened to the very end when he would play the music at the end. My neighbors were all checking me out. I'm like waving to them. It was a really, really good. I really enjoyed
Teddy.
it.
That's beautiful, man. That's great to hear, for sure. We worked. Yeah, when I was making that podcast, it was hard. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You're like, you're working all day, and then you go back and you do your passion project in the evenings, on the weekends, and then you're fading, like you're so tired. Like I remember days when like the engineers would call me and be like, hey, you have to re-record this because you sound fucking exhausted.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh no, but that's only gonna make me more tired. But then like to hear like that it connects with people is when you feel like, oh, you're making an impact and it's worth it.
Well, of all the podcasts that I've listened to over the years, and I come here and I tell Lopez, oh, dude, you're going to love this story about this athlete or about this or about that. He's like, yeah. The Chalino one, I went and I told him, and he fucking listened to it. I couldn't believe it. He listened to the whole thing. So that's a testament to how good it was.
It's impressive. But, for people that are listening that maybe are thinking about doing a podcast or for us, it's easy, right? We don't do anything special to the pod. I add music at the head and at the end, and that's it.
Yeah.
But if someone's going to do something as intricate as what you did, and it took you as long as it did, so do you record it all and then go back and do music and effects, or how do you do it?
Yeah, the process is pretty lengthy. Like one of the first things we did was we broke the story, right? And that involves a lot of research, and it involves a lot of gathering of what we tape. It's very similar to documentary style of filmmaking. You go and you do a bunch of interviews, you investigate this story, and then once we had that, we would create these outlines, which is our producers would make selects, and we'd create a tape outline. So these are the key moments from the tape that we have that match the story we want to tell in this first episode, and then we'd write the scripts. And then once we have a script, we do what's called it's sort of similar to a table read. We call it a live edit, which is where you read the script out loud and someone will play a tape in between, and then you get a bunch of people who talk all kinds of shit, give you their notes. And then you go back and you decide which of those notes is helpful, which of those notes is a little misguided, what are the notes really trying to say. You take another shot at it, you go back and you do it again.
Bro, that's like a television series and a network.
It is very similar to that. And then once we have scripts that are locked, we'll go into the studio and we'll track.
Right.
We'll record the narration. Then it goes to the engineers, who then will start to put them together. We usually write into the script where we think sound design will go, music. But a lot of it is the engineers. They have an ear for this stuff.
So they listen to it and put it together.
Yeah, and they start to build it, and they create Foley, and they bring a bunch of people into a studio, and they're like, start to cheer, and they cheer, and they create the sounds.
You're in a bar.
Yeah. They create the sound effects, the ambi, whatever you want to call it, and then they send us a mix, and then we give them notes. And then if the script needs to change, or if, like, for example, my voice was sounding too tired, I'd have to go back in and re-record. They call them pickups. You go in and you record pickups. We recorded that first episode, like, I don't know, someone's going to correct me, but I would say it 10 times.
Damn.
Like 10 different versions just to get it right. And the first episode is the hardest because that's the one that's going to set the tone, and it's got to do a bunch of shit that other episodes don't have to do. Other episodes can just be the story. But the first episode, you got to like explain so much, and it's always a hard thing, but that's the process. And then once you get these to a certain level, you can start to lock them. But I will say, with a show like this that involves so many things that are like related to the underworld, we obviously had lawyers who, at the very last minute, had us change some things, cut some things, and even right the night before the show was going to drop, I was like in a closet just recording last minute lines, to like make sure that our asses were fully covered. So there was a lot involved in making the show. Yeah. And generally the kinds of podcasts that I do make, we try to treat them that way because we want them to feel like movies for your ears. We want them to have that impact of like you're in the driveway and you don't want to get out.
Well, you achieved that for sure. It's funny because, so I was half joking, but I guess if you're at home, you can't do something like that on your own. I mean, it takes to produce a show like this.
You know, it's important
you can do what we do at home, no problem. But to do that, like you're talking about, like story editors, producers, sound engineers, people that understand Foley, the people that understand Walla.
But most importantly, you need a good narrator, because I've gotten good podcasts, good stories, and I don't like the narrator's voice. So right away, it's like it's a struggle to get through the first episode. Galindo's got a great voice.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And
Thank you. This is the voice he's talking about, everyone.
Yes, but you know what? You're very relatable in telling your story. You're not. Some of them just read from a script, and you could tell they're reading. Where you're in it, like you're almost like an actor, and you know the story so much.
It is a performance, though. It is a performance. Like I remember, I got hired by this NPR station.
Like you dropped a couple dope as fucks in there, and I was like, yeah.
I mean, like I remember I got hired. I was a writer primarily and a producer, and I got hired to be on the radio. And at first, I was like, yo, I don't have a radio voice, And there's a guy at work who has been on the radio forever, a guy named Nick Roman, and he does like All Things Considered, and he's like, you sound like LA. And I was like, yo, I fucking love LA. And then I was like, oh, if I sound like LA, then that must mean I'm doing something good, And so when I kind of discovered that, I was like, I'm just gonna get into it, I'm just gonna be myself even harder. Yeah. And so that is what it is. It's like when I'm telling a story, I'm like, I'm just trying to be like the me that I know, that's like that grew up in Southeast LA, the kid from the streets that's just like talking to his homies, right?
Yeah.
Because this podcast, podcasting is such an intimate medium, right? You're in people's ears. Yeah. You're in their fucking car with them when they're stuck in traffic for 2 hours. So like for me, it's like I don't want to sound like a professor. I don't want to sound like the expert. I'm just like, I'm your homie and I'm telling you a story.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's my strength as like a storyteller, is like I did not go to like Harvard or whatever, I went to Cerritos College, like community college, I'm just like, so, for me, it's just playing to my strengths, and like, and I want to tell stories about the people I grew up with, to the people I grew up with, and hopefully other people listen and it resonates and connects. but ultimately, like, you know, fuck them. I don't care if it doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just telling stories from my neighborhood.
Because even he has another one called Wild. I only listened to a couple. It was pretty funny. They were longer. It wasn't like
Yeah.
that was more of like
Conceptual, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it was good. It was
yeah.
good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's an exciting way to tell stories. I mean, podcasts have broken, you know, lots of new movies and series, and lots has come out of that. I mean, I think certain podcasts even like gotten people out of jail and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Serial, right?
Yep.
Serial famously got kid out of jail.
But that's what you're talking about. Like, you interview people. So as it refers to a podcast, you know, you're not interviewing people on camera, but are people still reluctant to talk to you about certain things?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, especially, I mean, I think anytime you put a mic in front of someone or a camera in front of someone, there's a wall,
Yeah.
right? And some people, they start to like kind of mug, like they really want to perform for the camera or the mic.
Yeah.
And other people are very like closed off,
Yeah.
you know? So I think part of it is like getting people to feel comfortable. And sometimes they're just not going to want to talk to you, especially if the subject matter is like this unsolved murder from the cartels, you know?
Right.
Yeah, we had, you know, there's lots of people that didn't want to talk to us on the record. Some of them didn't want to talk to us at all. Some people told us shit, but they would not be recorded, you know? So it was kind of like a mix of that.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to keep going, you know, and try to find those voices that will go on and talk to you.
Well, because you're right. Like, there's people that get really excited about getting interviewed, and then all of a sudden they spill the beans.
Yeah.
They don't even. And then later they're like, "Wait a minute, am I supposed to be talking about that?"
I know. I think that's me. Like, me put a mic in my face, and I'm way too honest, and I'm just like, fuck, did I say some crazy shit? My agent gonna call me tomorrow and be like, hey, I heard you said this. But you know, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the like crazy part about the times we live in, though. Like, everyone's got TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, and like people are like, my mom will make a video on her phone sometimes, you know, with the like camera all under her chin. But you know, so people understand the language of being interviewed now, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I think it does depend on like the subject matter, you know. People love talking about themselves, though. If you can get them talking about themselves, I think that's like the secret. To
Start
like,
there and then sneak in.
Yeah, exactly.
You were good with the interviews, though. You were really
thanks.
good. Yeah. Nacho.
I can take no credit for Nacho. Nacho's just a fucking so entertaining character.
Yeah. That was Chalino's like right hand guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They were homies, and they're business partners, right? Like, I mean, imagine like if, you know, you were on the verge of becoming famous and you're like the franchise just went away.
That's like me with Beautiful Dark. I'm on the verge and I'm partners with this guy. You know what I mean? So don't be spreading rumors about me, Robert.
Did his music blow up afterwards by any chance?
It definitely did. It definitely blew up after, but it blew up, and I think he became a cult hero, you know, like so there was a couple incidents that happened. One incident was he got into a shootout on stage in the Coachella Valley before Coachella was Coachella, and he wound up in that instance like shooting back. Like, he got shot in the lung, almost died, shot at this guy, you know, lots of crazy shit happened, and it kind of cemented his status as like he's not just a guy who sings about narco corridos. He is a guy who's living that life, right? In the same way Tupac and Biggie, you know, 50 Cent, like, their street cred went way up. And when you're singing music for the streets, about the streets, that helps you. And his music was going way up at the time of his death. And then his death, like, it created this, like, like the way James Dean will always be that young kid, that rebel without a cause. Like, Chalino's always going to be like the narco, like the king of narco corridos, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, like, you know, would Selena be Selena if she hadn't died? I don't know, you know.
Right.
John Lennon if he doesn't die. Same for Biggie and Tupac. I don't fucking know, but you know, I would have liked to have found out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they would have kept making great music. The ironic thing about everyone you mentioned is that they did amazing stuff right before they died.
Exactly.
Especially Selena. Selena did like her last album before she passed was amazing. Won Grammys and shit. So not to ask the obvious question, but who killed him?
I don't know who killed him. I think in the show, there is a theory that seems the most realistic. It was hard to poke a lot of holes in it, and it was, the theory was that Chalino, had developed such a reputation as like a kind of sicario figure that he was blamed for the death of this Narco's little brother. And when this Narco's little brother heard the story, he like immediately believed it because Chalino's reputation was so big, right? It's like if you're the bad guy and somebody says you did some bad shit, they immediately believe it. And so this guy was a very powerful, connected person in the cartels, and he apparently had Chalino killed. That is kind of the prevailing theory now. But like there's no like actual evidence to support this. This is just like, but it makes sense on some level. Where a lot of the other theories about his death, and there are many, make little sense to me, like because they put Chalino in a place where like it just didn't make sense. Why would he be like singing on stage at this concert if that were the case? And I think this story of being like, people think you killed this guy, and you're like, I didn't kill that guy. I'm fine. You're tripping. And then, but maybe they believed it a little bit too much.
Well, it sounds like in the underworld you can misunderstand some stuff and then be kind of crazy.
You could, people die for like. There have been musicians who died for singing a song. Like Valentin Elizalde famously, like he sang a song that some people felt was an insult to the one of the guerrilla armies in this part of Mexico, and then he died, and some people like have been killed for going on YouTube and talking shit about mob bosses, So like I think ultimately what we found out is like it doesn't really matter, Chalino was so big that he became a self-fulfilling prophecy. You talk about gangster shit for enough time, you wind up in some gangster shit.
Tupac.
That's true.
It's a dangerous world, but you've brought it to life beautifully.
Thank you.
In your series, and you're a great storyteller. And what's coming up next? What are you doing next?
We're working on a scripted podcast right now, just kind of like a serialized rom-com. It'll be out. It's with LAS Studios. It'll probably be out in April, and it's a 9-part series that tells the story of a road trip between two people who are you're not sure if they're meant to be together, and it's kind of like imagine if you were stuck on a road trip with your girl and you just got into a huge ass fight, and now you're on the road and you're like, oh shit, is this gonna work out? What are we supposed to do?
I've been there.
I've been there too.
So we turned that into a 9-part. Like again, we want it to feel like a movie, and this is fully scripted. We have some incredible actresses attached. We have Gabrielle Ruiz, who was in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Melina Bobadilla, who was in Orange is the New Black and Hentified, and we have comedian Atsuko Okatsuka.
Oh, cool. Great cast.
It's pretty nice, and we're working on that right now. Still doing a movie, The Christmas to Remember. We're still doing rewrites on that, and
cool.
So we're like, I'm trying my best to tell again like stories from like the people I grew up with, and trying to be very, very intentional that like I'm not telling stories for everyone. It's really easy for people to put a lot of pressure on, like especially Latinos, to tell a story that is for all Latinos, and like that shit doesn't exist. So how can you possibly do it? So I think for me it's like I'm telling stories through the lens of like a Mexican redhead who grew up in Southeast LA in the 90s, and that's it. Like
Right.
I don't know. I can't include everything that ever happened to every Latino in Los Angeles or in California or in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
think,
can tell you the shit that's happened to me, you know?
I think what makes storytelling unique is when you can really look behind the curtain of someone's life or how they grew up and stuff. It really becomes interesting to everybody, not just a certain culture. So, congratulations on all the stuff you've done.
Thank you.
I would definitely look you up if you want to see something really cool.
Where can we find your stuff, bro?
You could just, my website is thisfood.com, THISFOO.com, or you can just find me on Instagram, Twitter. Like, I think most of my stuff is up there. Yeah, I'm excited about your short film. I can't. Yeah, like I saw it on Instagram. I did see it on Tuddy's page.
Yeah.
And you guys look like you were having so much fun.
Wow, we do have a lot of fun when we shoot movies.
yeah,
That's
we
I
for
think
sure.
that's the only thing you can control, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know who's gonna watch or listen or buy. But if you have fun and you get to make something, that's an incredible.
I think it comes
thing.
through the production. You can tell
Yeah.
it comes through the screen. You can tell that we're having fun.
Hopefully you could feel that. Yeah, but you know, you guys got Emilio Rivera on there, right?
We got Emilio. We had Pepe Serna. I got my buddy
Legends.
just texted me.
Legends.
No, fuck. I was like,
Legends.
damn. And you guys are shooting on film?
Dude,
It was crazy.
It was
Respect.
crazy.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. Well, thanks everyone for listening. I think it's been a really fun show, and we'll get as soon as the short's available, we're going to show it to everybody.
Incredible.
Thanks for listening.
You
Thanks,
said Harmony
guys.
Gold, fool. We're gonna do Harmony Gold.
Film Hustlers.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
next time.
Thanks, Galindo.
That was fun. That was so fun. Oh,
We
shit.
got you out.
Yeah, just in time. I know. I gotta go.